Adam Schefter on the spot. The Dolphins are in. It's, of course, Bills-Dolphins this week. It is a football Friday. Brought to you by Selena Law. Car crash, call Selena. Call the 8s. And by Crosby's Pizza and Subs. Crosby's hometown fuel, game day ready since 1922. Joining us on the Western Hotline is Alain Poupart, who covers the Miami Dolphins. Alan, good morning. Thanks very much. Jeremy and Joe. Joe's out today, so just me, Jeremy. Alan, what's the plan for the Dolphins in the next 10 weeks here, right? Like to close out, to finish out the season, having fired the GM, what are Dolphins fans or the Dolphins hoping to learn about what they have?
Oh, I'm glad you restricted. First of all, good morning. I'm glad you changed it to just the Dolphins themselves, because the fans want losses. They want losses, to get as high a draft pick as possible in the 2026 draft, and there's also a good portion of them who want to make sure there's no chance the head coach returns next season. For the organization, I think the fact that they kept Mike McDaniel as head coach when they moved on from Chris Greer as GM, the fact that they traded only Jalen Phillips ahead of the trading deadline when they had offers for several other players, and they're clearly not making the playoffs, kind of suggests to you and I and everybody that maybe they want to push this to the limit with the current group they have before they make the decision to blow it all up. And I think they want to see how many games can they win out of their last game, how competitive can they be, reassess everything. And even in the statement that the Dolphins released from Stephen Ross when they moved on from Chris Greer, the GM, he was talking about working towards our vision for the future, with the implication being they don't quite know yet exactly how it is they want to proceed. So I heard the clip you just played with Adam Schefter. I'm not so sure it's necessarily locked in place or locked in stone that the Dolphins are going to blow it up and move a lot of players next off season. And by a lot of players, I think Jalen Waddle is one who stands out.
How does the Tua timeline look here? You mentioned fans wanting to lose, wanting the coach out. What do they want to do with the quarterback?
With Tua, there's always two groups. He's got his group of supporters where he can do no wrong. It's everybody else's fault but him. And then you got the group of detractors where everything's his fault. They want him gone. And the reality is somewhere in the middle. And when any conversation with Tua always has to begin with that damn contract of his that the Dolphins gave him in 2024 after his one fully healthy season. Right now he's on track for a second fully healthy season. But 2023 was his first one. The Dolphins gave him a big contract, which kind of sort of tied him to them and them to him for 3 years, the last one being 2026. And it's really hard to get away from that $54 million guaranteed contract and the cap hit of $99 million if you move on from him, which can be all absorbed in 2026, spread out 67-32 over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And the idea of being able to trade him because of signing bonus money, it's the team that acquires him is not taking on the full $56 million in cap commitment for next year, but it's going to be north of $40 million. And for a quarterback that the Dolphins want to move on from because he's underperforming and there's also the injury concerns, I have a hard time believing that there's going to be a market for him. So
right.
My best guess is he's back on the team in 26.
So maybe back on the team in 26, the team maybe keeping the coach for 26 and maybe trying to see if they can string it together. And, with the Bills, of course, always here, and the Bills have been the measuring stick for Miami, trying to get on top of the Bills in the division. They've not been able to do it. Do you think that New England changes the math for them? Are they taking the Patriots and what the Patriots have built seriously? Because, as you mentioned it there about what the fans want, the Jets are, and this is what Adam Schefter mentioned, the Jets are boldly moving to the future, the maybe long-term future. And here's Miami. Do you think what they've got is a good idea? Has the coach shown enough to maybe pull it out and deserve another season to go in with a different GM in charge?
It's been his fourth year now, and get this, if he lasts through the season, Mike McDaniel will become the first Dolphin head coach to make it through 4 full seasons since Dave Wanstead back in the early 2000s. Should he get another shot? Again, the roster is flawed. That's pretty obvious. But you look at the Dolphins on the field throughout this season, doesn't necessarily scream like this is a well-coached team. And at some point, you got to come to the realization maybe Mike McDaniel's got out to be a great offensive coordinator because nobody's going to debate his offensive mind, but maybe he's not necessarily cut out to be a great head coach.
Yeah.
Having said that, because you're kind of locked into Tua, unless you're willing to absorb some pain and take a couple of steps back, Mike McDaniel is the one who kind of maxed out what Tua could be as an NFL quarterback in that 22-23 season. Stephen Ross is very, very loyal, and part of his failings as an owner is he stays loyal too long to people from whom he should move on earlier. So to answer your question, sorry, in a roundabout way, no, probably the Dolphins should make a coaching change. Will they? Not sure.
Alain Poupart joining us on the Western Hotline talking about the Dolphins. Do you give them a puncher's chance this week against the Bills?
Oh, that's like Glass Joe against Mike Tyson, if you remember the old video game.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the thing, though. You look back to the Week 3 game, Dolphins were right there with the Bills.
That's
and
right.
They're driving. It's 28-21. And not only that, even before the late interception, it's 21-21. The Dolphins defense has gotten 3 straight stops. They're about to get the ball back. 21-21, like halfway through the fourth quarter. And then Zach Sealer has that unfortunate / ill-advised / stupid roughing the punter penalty. So they hung with them, but the Dolphins kind of have fallen a little bit from that time, which was their 3rd straight loss. The thing with the Dolphins is right now they're not equipped to overcome adversity during a game.
Right.
If they get off to a very, very quick start with a couple of quick breaks early on, they can make it again and they would have a puncher's chance. If they fall behind early or have an early setback, right now this is a team that's got a very fragile psyche. So it could get ugly very, very quickly, or if the Dolphins get, say, turnover, an early turnover, I would give them a puncher's chance, but it's not much of one.
Yeah. Thanks, Alan, for the time, and enjoy the game this weekend.
Thanks, Jeremy.
All right, Alain Poupart, publisher of Miami Dolphins on SI, and talking to us about Miami. One thing I saw yesterday, Jalen Phillips, who they traded to the Eagles. So I saw this, and I thought about the Sabres, and I'll explain why. He's in the locker room. Jalen Phillips is dressed. He's in his Eagles gear, and the clip that goes around is Phillips saying something that we've thought maybe about players that have left the Sabres, but I don't know that anyone has said it as clearly. And this is a point to be how down a Dolphins fan should probably feel. The Dolphins are down so bad right now as an organization. They fired their coach. They're on the hook for Tua. Here's Alan saying that maybe they're going to kind of ride this thing out and maybe try for one more kick at the can next year with this coach and with this build. And who knows what that means for their offseason. We've seen the Sabres be bad, and their star players leave, and their star players flourish, and we think, wow, that guy got out, and good for him, I guess. He was probably upset here. Jalen Phillips in Philadelphia yesterday called the trade to Philadelphia probably the best thing that's ever happened to him in his life. Which, it's not a direct shot at Miami, but it's probably the closest thing you can get. The best thing that's happened in your life. Not getting drafted, but getting traded away from Miami. Ouch.